You know what I think? I think a storm is threatening my very life today. If I don't get some shelter, I think I'm gonna fade away. So today, what we're doing is we're talking about some of the latest from Kent Hughes in his recent press conference. Yes, whilst we were making and uploading our previous video on the channel talking about Canadiens trade targets, we also missed out on a Kent Hughes interview. And this was indeed published live on YouTube. It was streamed live, so I'm pretty sure if you just go over to the Canadiens YouTube channel, it's still going to be there under the live tab. But I wanted to talk about some of the notes from this interview, as well as go over some extra updates in regards to the top prospect in the Montreal Canadiens organization. So, before diving into the meat and potatoes, the main focus of this video, let's dive into some extra comments made by Kent Hughes in regards to some extra Canadiens guys. Patrik Laine skated earlier this morning. And this is obviously a really good sign. We had spoken yesterday about how Patrik Laine had been out for almost a week with flu-like symptoms, and it was a really big deal, you know? Like, hey, the guy's missed out on multiple games now with the flu. Is the flu usually that bad? Honestly, I feel like for normal people it can be, but for professional athletes, sometimes it isn't really that bad, so obviously seeing Laine get back out there and skating is a good thing. We also did have some other word that David Savard was skating today, and that he was on the ice for about 7 minutes, so that was, of course, tweeted out by Renaud Lavoie. Good to see some of these injured and ill Canadiens guys slowly making their way back over to the lineup. But I wanted to go over this brief comment made by Kent Hughes. It says here that Ivan Demidov will not be able to play for the Montreal Canadiens this season, as Kent Hughes just mentioned in French. And I think that this is a really interesting update, and it's why we're making this video, because along with this Ivan Demidov news, there also was a video that was posted onto the R Canadiens subreddit that I thought was just super interesting. This is a video of Roman Rottenberg speaking with Kent Hughes, Vinny Lecavalier, and Bobrov about Ivan Demidov. This was posted yesterday, and the subtitles are actually in Russian. But Rottenberg is a really interesting character. Obviously, he's the head coach of SKA St. Petersburg, Ivan Demidov's KHL team, because in this 1 minute and 7-second clip, Rottenberg pretty much says everything that you need to say when it comes to talking to Montreal. He actually does a really good job. His elevator pitch selling Montreal and what they're doing in SKA is pretty solid. But there's a certain kind of, how do I describe it? It's so hard to verbalize this kind of idea, but you kind of get the sense that maybe, in some capacity, Rottenberg has taken the Canadiens guys for a ride. There's some sort of, I'm saying all of the right things because I need to say all of the right things, not necessarily because I believe in these things. Just go out there and listen to the video yourself. It's going to be linked in the description. By the way, as always, what else is linked in the description? It's the ExpressVPN link. If you do need a VPN, go out there and check it out. It's the best VPN in the market, and I get a little bit of a kickback too if you use my link, so go out there and do that if you need to. But listen to the video on Roman Rottenberg. He talks about how the plan for Demidov in Montreal is the same plan that they have in SKA, and he's got this talent, etc., etc. He even says that even though Demidov is a young guy, he's one of the best guys on the ice. And then he talks about how if Ivan Demidov works hard, he can continue to be one of the best guys on the ice. It's a very strange interview because if you just read the quotes, it's like, oh wow, he's saying like all the right things. But you listen to it and it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm just tainted by all the American movies with Russian supervillains that I've listened to, but I don't know if this guy's really 100% believing what it is that he says. And even some of the comments go out there and say the same thing. Roman Rottenberg seems like a guy that's good with words. It seems like he knows how to make himself look good to people. If you, not you personally, notice this, it probably means he's not, and I doubt the Montreal Canadiens brass were fooled either. Now, to be fair, there is another reply that says, I don't actually think that's true. I think it's just because you have a preconceived notion of who he is. If you know nothing about him and you watch this video, I doubt there's anything that would make you feel the way you currently feel about him. Another reply says, I say this because I've seen multiple interviews of this guy. He says something and his actions go completely the other way. I love how Bobrov is eyeing this guy like a hawk during the whole interview. He knows very well this guy is not to be trusted. And then another comment says, I must be watching a new Scorsese mobster movie. Hence, The Goodfellas. For some reason, I just don't like the guy. You know that feeling when you see someone and you already don't trust him before he says a single word? That is obviously one of the things that I think is going to start some conversations as to whether or not Roman Rottenberg is really putting the best interests of Demidov in front of his own. And heck, it's been so weird because we know that usually, like when it comes to these talented young prospects, the guys who are at this talent level, usually the best interests of them align with the best interests of the team. I guess the best interest of the team would be to have Demidov sticking around long term, but obviously that's not going to be an option here. Another comment goes out there and says this is actually the top-rated comment on the post. It sounds like Rottenberg has at least accepted that Ivan Demidov is leaving after this year. I wonder what he wants from the Habs at this point. I know there have been rumors about Montreal and SKA playing an exhibition game, but that's obviously years away based on his country's actions. My theory is that he's looking for legitimacy. A lot of people were talking and joking early on about Kent bringing him a bag of cash, but after watching the full video of where this clip is from, I think what Rottenberg wants is legitimacy. He's feeling high and mighty about himself because Kent and Vinny came to see him. Westerners came all the way to talk hockey and see Demidov, whom he's currently coaching, so he's taken the opportunity to show off SKA and act a diplomat and make this a PR stunt in the act of sports washing. Eventually, the war will end and Russia will be back in the hockey world, and Roman wants to be sure that when that day comes, himself, SKA, and Russian hockey will be in a position to get people to forget the crap that Russia's been up to. Rottenberg wants to be seen as a peer with the NHL, and his best way in that way is to be chummy with the Habs organization who wants something from him. And that, of course, is a very political answer. I don't really want to get into any of the specifics about wars and whether or not Russia will be able to participate in international tournaments anytime soon, but along with the other news, this is what Frank Saravelli tweeted out, I believe the KHL contract end dates have been extended to May 31st, which makes it tougher to envision a scenario where Ivan Demidov can play this season. And I guess you can say that. That is, of course, unless the Montreal Canadiens make the Stanley Cup Finals this year. It doesn't seem like Ivan Demidov will suit up with the team anytime soon, but I wanted to go out there and make this video and dive into the Goodfellas, Martin Scorsese, mobster, negotiation-like commentary that has been tossed out there in regards to Demidov in this video of Roman Rottenberg and Kent Hughes talking about him at the table. It's very interesting, and I think there hasn't really been a story in Montreal Canadiens lore the past little while that's been as intriguing as this one when it comes to a guy that so many people want to see get more ice time and get brought over to North America ASAP, who is not really being given his dues even though he's so extremely talented. It's a very strange and delicate thing. So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your opinions about this Ivan Demidov update, as well as the other things we had seen about Savard and Laine? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.